Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women who have written books that make a difference for people while at work. I am a professor, and when I'm not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, and teaching high-achieving women who have written books how to make a bigger difference, have more impact, and more purpose with their books. Okay, let's dive in. Hello. Before we dive into today's episode, I've got some exciting news for you. We just launched our new podcast website. That's right, and this is where you can catch up on all our episodes and find exclusive content and so much more. So head on over to leadershippurposepodcast.com, leadershippurposepodcast.com. I know it's a tongue twister, huh? Let me say it again. leadershippurposepodcast.com. And we are building it to the go-to spot for everything Leadership Purpose Podcast. So in the coming days, you'll see it grow more and more, but it's launched now. So go ahead over and check it out, leadershippurposepodcast.com. And for now, let's jump into today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're listening into the podcast, and I really appreciate you for taking time and listening in. And if you would be so kind to go over, rate, subscribe, review the podcast at Apple Podcasts, that would be a great help to help us to continue to get the word out. Because of your listening and your support, we have been rated in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes, the podcast search engine. So thank you for helping us get there. All right. Now, today, I'm talking with Irma Parone. Now, let me tell you about Irma. Irma is the founder and CEO of the Parone Group, which is recognized in the top 10 organizational development services companies in 2022 by Manage HR. She's the author of the 4-time award-winning book, WINX, the problem-solving model to win exponentially with customers, employees, and your bottom line. Irma is a high-value service expert with over 3 decades of turning around customer and employee problems. Prior to forming the Parone Group, Irma was the senior vice president for a security firm, overseeing 1,200 employees and customers. Her team was the top performing, capturing the best in customer retention, reducing employee turnover. Her results are proven, practical, and engaging at all organizational levels. Welcome, Irma Parone.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor to be here and be with you.
I'm so glad we have this opportunity to have this conversation. All right, so let's just jump right in. I read your kind of formal introduction / bio, but why don't you tell us in your own words, first about who you are, anything you want to say about yourself, and then about what you do.
Well, I'm just a plain old girl that's getting older and older by the day and loving what I do. I work as a strategic advisor for mainly employers. So my main focus includes leadership excellence, so high value performance, problem solving, time management, and organizational development. And I love speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's something I didn't know about you from our past conversations. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So when you say you love speaking, since that's the one that grabbed my attention right there, what do you enjoy speaking about the most?
Well, my longest term speaking has been about creating high value customer loyalty. You know, that kind of loyalty where customers not only stick with you, but highly recommend you to others. But also, of course, problem solving is another one of my big topics. And I do some on time management and some little topics, but mostly high performance, high value service, and problem solving and decision making.
Which all of those are very valuable, and loyalty too. You can't give us the whole thing, but what's one tip about loyalty? Is there something that encapsulates what drives?
Yeah, I mean, don't think that customer service is customer loyalty. So customer service is expected. You create customer loyalty by creating experiences that are unexpected. So things
Oh,
where when you walk away, people say, wow, I love her. It's an emotional thing.
oh,
Of course, you have to have the great service, but to go over and beyond that in areas of unexpected high value, how can I serve you in a way that's higher and above and beyond?
yes, yeah, that makes sense. That's a good tip. I'm going to try to facilitate it and think about it later how I can do that with this podcast and my podcast. Yes, but
There you
for now, I will stick with the interview.
go.
All right. So now I mentioned the book. Why don't you tell us the title of the book and then the premise of the book?
So the title is, it looks like WINX because it's spelled WINX. I'll tell you that story when you ask me about challenges as an author. But it is actually pronounced WINX, the problem solving model to win exponentially with customers, employees, and your bottom line. And it's an 8-step process and helps you make better decisions to win big, considering your customers, your employees, and your company.
So what's the representation of the X? Okay, win X
Exponentially.
exponentially.
Yeah. So winning exponentially.
Exponentially. I mean, who doesn't want that? What business doesn't want that?
That's right.
Right. So what was the catalyst for you writing the book?
It was very hard because one of the I'll combine this with one of the challenges, and that's that I wanted to write a leadership book, but it was so challenging because when I talked to experts about my drafts, it was like, it's too broad, it's too broad, it's too broad. Well, how can you narrow leadership because it goes into so many different areas? So I started asking my customers, what do I do best for you? Like, why do you keep coming back other than my, wonderful personality? I like to have fun. What can I say? And it came down to, look, when I have a problem, you help me solve it. And I really do have a good process that I've been very successful. And so I thought, well, why don't I write about problem solving and write down my process that's worked for me, so hopefully it'll help other people.
Yeah, that sounds important and valuable, very valuable to people. All right. So now you made, a remark about the challenges. Say more about the challenges as an author in terms of getting your book out into the world.
Well, my biggest challenge is that I don't really love writing. I mean, it was never something I had on my bucket list. So I thought, I wonder how this will go. I really had a message I wanted to get out. I wanted to help employers help their employees and their customers and all that stuff. So I just didn't know if I could do it. And look at me now, it's 4-time award winning. So I'm blessed. And believe it or not, I'm writing another book. I don't know if I told you that. The WINX, the first one is for business owners and leadership teams. This one will be for employees.
Oh,
Yeah. But so challenge number 2 is the title. So I wanted it to be different. So I wanted it to have winning and I wanted it to have exponentially. So I thought, well, if I do win X and just keep it all one word, that'll be different. Well, here's the problem. The problem is that was a mistake because WINX, or however they pronounce it, is also a children's book. So when you go on to Amazon, unless you type in WINX Irma, you're going to
oh,
find all these other kids' books first. The
oh,
second one is the pronunciation, right? So people call it WINX instead of WINX.
right.
So, and I'm thinking about my next book because this one is WINX for employees. Do I change it? And I have to keep it the same if I'm going to keep it in a series, which is what I want to do. So that's problem number 1
Yeah.
or number 2. So first, writing's not my passion. Number 2 is the title.
this is curious, and I'm sure there are some people who are wondering. I mean, that was a major accomplishment to go from, I don't like writing, to not only writing a 4-time award-winning book, but to say, now I have another one coming up in the series.
I know, it's crazy, right?
How'd you move from not liking it to getting it done and doing it so well?
A lot of help. I reached out to I had it edited 4 times. Like I kept tweaking it. And I mean, it took me, it took me 5 years. The second one will take me, 6 months, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
First, of course, I went through cancer during that time too. So I guess I have to give myself a 2-year forgiveness, but I don't know. I think because the book did so well, and I really want to help employees win in the workplace. I mean, I see this as a global issue, and I love the result. I don't love the work, but I love the result.
Yeah, I guess that would be enough to keep people going. It
Yeah.
did for you, and glad to see you're on this side of cancer, because you mentioned doing that.
Oh yeah, I'm over 2 years in remission now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad
Yep.
to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. All right, on the other side of it, what would you say is your greatest joy in getting your work out into the world through your book?
It's seeing people say, "Oh," like I just had a speaking engagement yesterday on problem solving, and people don't understand why they make decisions or how they make decisions. And once you start learning that, and then learning a lot of different problem solving strategies and stuff, it makes problem solving so much easier. And when I see that, I mean, from my presentation yesterday, the 4 leaders that were in the team, all 4 of them reached out to me. I mean, I was like jumping up and down all day today. Because you never know how things are going to go, but it's just seeing that you're making an impact, right?
Yes.
That's what it is for me.
Yeah, which makes sense because that's what it's all about.
Right.
That's what it's all about. And it does speak to your work that they had that kind of response. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm just blessed, but it worked out. Yes.
Yeah. I understand. I understand the modesty, but people don't usually respond unless it's going to help them. Yeah.
I think it was, if I do say so myself, I was very pleased when I drove out of there.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
I just want to interrupt the episode for a moment to ask, is your book ready to be turned into a successful online course? Well, to answer that very question, I took the time-tested process that I use for turning books into successful online courses, and I created a free checklist that you can review and check off so you absolutely know the ways in which your book can be turned into a successful online course. So just head on over to createmasterfulcourses.com, createmasterfulcourses.com, and get your free checklist there. All right, now let's get back to the episode. What would you say is the greatest lesson you learned in writing your book, publishing it, and marketing it?
You're so cute. Writing it was a challenge. The biggest lesson was, man, know what your title, do more research. Like when I researched the title, I didn't research kids' books for that title. I researched business nonfiction books.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So kind of research across the aisles. And then marketing, that's a whole nother. I mean, I didn't even think about marketing. All I thought about was getting it out there. Marketing is even harder than writing it for me. It's knowing where, how do I market, which platforms work the best, which, like, my book is now in paperback, hardcover, ebook, and also audio. I'm doing all 4 because I don't know who wants what. I had one person ask about a hardcover, so I did the hardcover, but there's only about probably less than 10 people who bought the hardcover. But I still don't know how to market, honestly, to be very honest with you.
Yeah. And many guests say the same. I think it's just so many different ways that marketing can happen. Just kind of finding the one that works best. Yeah. but in your particular case. All right.
Right.
In what way does the book represent or reflect who you are?
Well, I've always been a very high value service person. I mean, I just like, I don't know, is it ego? What is it? I don't know what it is, but I like being better than anybody else out. I mean, I just like doing a great job. Now, I love seeing other people succeed too. So I guess it's not ego, but I just like helping companies be great, just be great. And then helping employees. I mean, it all just sings to me. It
Yeah.
just all sings to me.
Yeah. So this drive to do a good job, so you're helping them to do a good job, or in your words, great. Was there any part of you when you were a little Irma, just growing up, that you saw pieces of that now that you're looking back? Really striving to do a good job and really enjoying and appreciating.
It's so funny you say that. I don't really think so. I came from I mean, I didn't think we were poor, but we didn't have a car. My dad was a steel mill worker. We didn't even have air conditioning for many, many years. So my mother didn't work. She stayed at home. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know where it came from, but everything that I did, I just wanted to, except for school. I hated school because I thought I knew where I was going. But then you learn and you go back to school, and that's how things go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now the podcast is for high achieving women. Now let me tell you how I describe high achieving women. Women who are ambitious, goal oriented, professional, business owners, responsible in their work and business, responsible at home. They're good at a couple things. People come to them, both places, work and home, just
Yep.
for support, help, questions. And it sounds like you're resonating when I hear you say, yep.
Yep.
And then on top of all that, they wrote a book, at least one book. So this is the podcast is for that person. And I thought, well, if they're the ones supporting everyone else, who supports them? So I thought, well, in the podcast, we can talk to each other. So the guests will be talking to other people like that. And then that's how we support each other.
Right.
All right. So now with that in mind, what's something from any part of your experience, your professional life or your personal life, some word of advice, tip, wisdom would you share with the woman I just described?
Whatever your message is, make sure you get it out however you can, in a book, in a speech, in schools, wherever. Like Nike says, just do it. And speaking is a really great platform to get a message out. And that's why I love speaking, because you could speak to a big audience, you could speak on a podcast to many people, and you could put in your heart. You know, people can read words, but it's hard to write emotion. And I think when you speak, people can feel emphasis and, different things. So go out and get in front of these kids, high school, if you're a business person and you know a lot and you learned, we've all made our mistakes. We've learned from good and we've learned from bad. Help these young people get engaged and excited about moving forward into the workforce. So spread it at appropriate age ranks for your book, but as much as you can, wherever you can.
Yeah, yeah. And that is even speaking to me right now, Irma.
Is there
Yeah.
you go.
So it's like, okay, I received that.
Yeah.
All right. So the podcast is Leadership Purpose.
Yes.
Do you think it's important to have for you or for others to have a sense of purpose in their work, their books, their business? If so, why? If not, why not?
Oh, without any question. I was just talking to a client yesterday at the speaking engagement, and somehow my age came up, and I'm not a real youngster. And she said, "Well, why aren't you retired?" I said, "Because I love what I do so much." I said, "When I stop providing value or stop loving what I do, I will retire the next day."
Mm,
But my vision, I mean, I really have this big dream. At my age, I shouldn't have, my only dream should be to go on cruises, but I would love to get on a TED Talk and help people learn how to work together, play together, make decisions that support each other, globally.
Yeah.
Yes, my answer is yes.
And I could see you do that. I could see you on a TED stage doing a talk.
I would
It's
love to
clear
do
that your passion is there and you have that experience and expertise and proven methods. So I see you. I could see you doing that, Irma.
Well, thank you.
And you have shared so much between the speaking and the journey of the book. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to talk about or mention, or something that might have just come to mind since we started having this conversation? If not, that's okay. And then afterwards, we'll tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Well, I would just like to thank you for the value you're adding to authors, right? For helping all of us get to see each other's ideas and thoughts and passions and, getting clues and tricks of the trade. I think it's amazing. It's very much appreciated. And I just thought I would thank you.
Well, that means something that you said that. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm guessing people are saying, where can I get Irma's book and how can I find out more? And if they're saying that, what do you say to them?
Well, you could find it on Amazon if you could figure out how to find it. So it's spelled WINX. And if you just put WINX and then put a dash in Irma Parone, you could find it if you just put WINX. Or you can go to my website, which is paronegroup.com. You can find it there and more information about me. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a speaking website, which is irmaparone.com. Or you can reach out to me directly. My direct business line is 954-464-6689. And my email is irma@paronegroup.com. Now, I get a lot of junk and spam, so you might want to call me, or you can use that number will go to text as well.
Okay, that's very generous. Thank you, Irma, for sharing your wisdom, your decades of wisdom and your writing, which sounds like there might be a series of WINX books on the way.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so
Might
much.
be one more. I don't know after this one. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know. The books have their
There
own
could
way
be a
of-
third one out there. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. Let me get this one out first, and then I'll confirm that with you.
Okay, and if it does, we'll have you come back and talk about it.
All right. I'd love to.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Irma, for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. And if you want to be in touch with me, which I encourage you to do, I'm on all social media, but I would love to get a message from you on LinkedIn, just getting your response to the episode. What do you want to hear more of? What do you like? Any questions? And that's at LinkedIn, but all social media, you can find me at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD. And if you are an author and you've been thinking about expanding your message beyond the book to help your readers go deeper into the content of your book by using a course, and you've been wondering, well, I don't know if my book is really ready for a course. Well, I have the answer for you in my checklist. And you can find that at createmasterfulcourses.com, createmasterfulcourses.com, and get the free checklist there. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Dr. Robin signing off. See you next time.